I get asked often about how I became a writer. I used to take trips with my family to the local children's library, and my favorite librarian, her name is Cheryl Levy. Shout out to Miss Levy. She used to let me pull all the books down that I wanted to read and take home as many books as I wanted to take home. I used to look for books that had characters who looked like me and who had similar stories to my story, of being like the new kid in town, the new kid in school. And so I read as many books as I could possibly read. When I ran out of stories that had characters who reflected my experiences and reflected who I was as a young girl, I I first I complained, and my mom kind of issued me a challenge. Rather than complain, why don't you do something about it? And so I became a writer of these stories because I wanted more of the stories. So I used to read as much as I possibly can. And the reason I'm telling you the story is because this is a one way. Um, I have a couple of ways, a couple of suggestions to help you build writing confidence, that I'll get to in just a few minutes. But if you're new, welcome. We are talking in this series about building your writing confidence. I'm Dr. Ebony. I'm a professor, I'm a writer and a writing coach, and I love to talk about writing. So if you are a journaler, if you love writing, if you'd like to start writing, if you have a story to tell, you're in the right place. Okay. So I have a couple of tips for how to build your writing confidence. My first recommendation is to read widely. Read everything that you can possibly get your hands on. Um, all of the writers that I know, all of the writers' works that I've read, they started out as voracious readers. Okay, read everything you can get your hands on. I like to say all reading counts. So if you spend a lot of your time scrolling, even or communicating with your friends in writing, or if you visit the library, or if you download books, or you listen to audiobooks, all of reading counts. Okay, just try and read as much as possible. You're getting to know how characters are written. You're getting to know um, language, how writers use language and play with language. You're getting to know the structure of books, of poems, of research, pieces of research. I mean, you're getting to know the work really intimately when you are taking time to read and read and read. So that's my first tip. Read as much as you possibly can. Um, Explore different genres as well. Okay. If you tend to read only fiction, maybe take a look at science fiction, maybe take a look at graphic novels, maybe take a look at picture books, maybe take a look at poetry, like explore different genres. Just take a look, right, to see what is out there, especially if you have a specific story that you want to tell. Find out if anyone else has written a similar story. Find out, um, what stories your readers will want to see from you. I'll tell you a funny story. I typically write like realistic fiction. I also write biographies of pretty well-known people. I've written about Beyonce. I've written about Malcolm X. I've written about Katherine Johnson. I've written about Claudette Colvin. I am starting a book about Simone Biles. So I usually I start stories like that. I have ideas for stories like that, but I also get um, requests from publishers, books that are kind of typically what I have experience writing. But there was one request that was pretty funny and pretty was kind of an outlier in my typical works. I wrote a story about The Parent Family. I don't know if you've seen any horror stories, but take a look at my book, The Parent Family. It's like a ghost story, so it's perfect for this season that we are just starting. We're getting closer to Halloween. You're starting to see all the decor, which is really cool, and all of the children's stories about Halloween and trick-or-treating and dressing up in costumes and things like that. So this story was definitely an outlier for me. I had so much fun writing the story, though. I actually got so into the story that I scared myself. Like I had to take breaks because I don't do well with horror. I think Halloween is so fun. Um, the fun parts, obviously, the scary parts, super scary. So I had to take a lot of breaks while I was writing because I scared myself silly. But anyway, that's an example of like just taking a look, just taking a peek at other genres just to see what's out there. It will broaden your horizons. It will give you more of an idea of the landscape for the type of writing that you want to do. Okay, so tip one, read widely. Tip two, explore different genres. Just take a look at what's out there. I also challenge you to create a reading list, okay, that includes books from at least 3 different genres, just to give you an idea of some of the sample works that you can create. And then when you're reading them, analyze their writing, okay? Take a look at how the authors play with language, the tone, take a look at the point of view they chose to tell the story in, take a look at the word count, take a look at how they introduce each chapter, take a look at how they introduce each character. You really want to break down the stories and read like a writer, okay? Because you're going to be writing these stories. So yes, you want to be reading for enjoyment and entertainment, but you also want to take another look and analyze. Take a peek at um, how the author set up this work, okay? Because you're going to be doing something very, very similar, okay? So another tip, as you start writing, embrace your mistakes along the way, okay? So once you've taken a look at all of these works, all of these books written by your favorite authors and authors who are writing cross genres, you're going to start to write, okay? One of the tips that I gave my students this week, they started their linguistic autobiographies, and I gave them a word count of at least 1,000 words. Their initial reaction was panic because 1,000 words, right? But we broke it down and we took time to, pace it themselves. So start with 200 words, and then we're going to move to 400 words, and let's, move to 600. So we broke it down into smaller pieces. And a couple of them were concerned along the way that they had to, cross out a line, or they had to redo their thesis statement. They had to change up the introduction. And I had everyone pause just for a minute to take a breath and just to remind them, don't worry about making mistakes. Okay. This is all a part of the writing process. You're not going to write a polished, complete novel or story or journal entry on your very first try. Okay. That's not the purpose. The purpose is let's enjoy this entire process. We're going to start with outlining and drafting and brainstorming, and then we're going to revise and we're going to edit, and eventually we're going to get to that polished version, right? But it's okay to make mistakes. I'm doing that in quotes because it's not a mistake. They're not mistakes, okay? You are just playing with language. You are revising. You are making very intentional choices with your writing, okay? And you can change your mind along the way. So embrace your mistakes and enjoy the writing process, okay? So those are a couple of tips to help you build your writing confidence, okay? If you are feeling unsure in any way about your writing process, that's okay. It's okay. This is not a one size, it's not a one way to do this kind of deal. Okay. You get a lot of opportunity to revise and write the story of your dreams. Okay. So reflect on your writing choices, okay? And then what you've learned on them as well. Reflect on what you've learned, okay? So you can take that along your writing journey with you, all right? So read widely, um, explore different genres, analyze what you're writing, what you're reading, sorry. And then when you start writing, embrace the mistakes, okay? Remember, every step of the writing process counts, but like you get to make the decisions and you get to change your mind along the way. And there's no right or wrong way to do this, okay? So take a deep breath. You will be great at this, okay? You can do this. Today for our writing burst, here's what I want you to do. Um, think about a story that you have read that is outside your normal genre. What story did you read? What was the story about? Um, and then analyze that piece of writing as if you were a writer already. Okay. What choices did that author make? What lessons did you learn that you can incorporate into your own writing? Okay. So our writing bursts, we write for at least 5 minutes. Okay. So get a pen, get some paper, open a new document, and let's jot down our ideas for at least 5 minutes. Happy writing. I'll see you next time.